What's
back.
up? We're back.
We're back. Today we're going to talk about another tool in our toolbox. This one is communication. This is one of my favorites.
You want to hear something really corny?
Taylor's
toolbox.
No.
You can edit that out. All right.
Okay.
What's up?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about communication while I get my knee in a different position. Here we go.
Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So.
We have really good notes, so we're going to refer to them a little bit.
It's all good. All right.
Okay.
We're back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about communication.
Communication. Yeah, communication is consideration.
You took my... I've said that.
Well, you can edit me out and then you can say
No, I don't want to. No, yeah. I've been known to say that. It came to me. Yeah, whatever. Communication is consideration.
That's right.
It is considering one another to communicate. No matter how difficult that communication is, it is considering, and it's love to communicate and communicate well. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So let's talk about it.
Yes, let's talk about it. Ooh, I know something. All right. So, Psalms 19, what's better, to talk about than the Word of God? Because that's how God communicates us.
That's right.
Through His Spirit.
One of the ways.
And through His Word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Be mindful of your words. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Psalm 19:14. Words matter, right?
Yeah.
How would you say words matter?
Yeah. I mean, God created all that we exist within by speaking words.
Yeah. I mean, God said, and there it was. And there's life and death in the tongue.
Named animals with words.
That's right. Wow. So words matter.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me.
That's a lie from the pit of hell.
Words hurt. Yeah.
They do. They pierce, they cut, they heal.
How many children or teenagers or people nowadays that you hear they've committed suicide because they were bullied online? Well, those were words.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Words matter. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Proverbs. We love Proverbs. Proverbs words are awesome. Yeah. It's so many times I've seen with us, when you're going through something, when you're hurting, whether it be family, friend, whatever, the Lord will use me through words.
Oh, yes.
To speak.
Oh, yes.
And you're like, I really needed that.
I really did. That happened this week.
Did it?
It did.
Good.
It did. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And you to me too, It's words are life. The life and death are in our tongue. It's so true. So words, whether we use them for good or for harm, our words matter. In marriage, our words should be used to build each other up, right? So how would you say, how would you say that would build in a marriage? How does that work? Words to build your spouse up.
Well, it's not just what some would say as positive affirmations, but it's speaking life. It can even be simple things. It can be really simple where you're speaking life. It doesn't have to be something extravagant. But with consistency, I think there's a building up. It takes time to build something, right? So I think with consistency of words that are from a place of love, support, encouragement, that builds you up, even when it's simple. But it's with consistency, and it's with clarity.
Right.
I'm huge about walking in truth.
Not dancing around stuff and just living in the shadows of
being clear. And sometimes being clear cuts, but it cuts in the good way. It's like the same way that God prunes us.
Yeah, I mean, truth
but
sometimes
a lot
cuts.
of people don't know what to do with that, whether they're in cycles of trauma, they've never experienced it. Yeah, they
well,
don't know what to do
there's
with
times
that.
in people's lives that even though the truth is the truth and that's what they need to hear, sometimes they can't handle it.
Right.
Right? And it's not, it's just where they're at, you know? I mean, there's times in my life I can't handle the truth, even though I know it's the truth. It's like, man,
you
know,
just got to sit in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You have to meditate on it and allow God to, you know, just allow His Spirit to get into your heart and work that truth. Right? You know it's truth.
Yeah.
Read the Word sometimes and you're like, wow, that really just told me. I think in our last video we talked about, you know, the Word cuts deeper than a sword.
It sure does.
Or like a two-edged sword to the bone and marrow.
Yep.
You read the Word sometimes and you're like, wow.
Yeah, because
Lord,
God's a
forgive
discerner
me.
of the heart.
That's right.
Yep.
Yep.
And He knows His creation.
That's right.
He created us and made us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So our words matter. And a lot of times I believe that in marriages, words are used as weapons.
Yeah.
Because last video, anger, right? Go to sleep, angry, it festers, grows into something.
Grows.
And then the words that come out of your mouth from that place of anger become weapons against that person that you love. It hurts.
It hurts deep.
It hurts. Somebody that I don't know can say something to me, right?
And we've all done it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've all hurt somebody with our words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But by walking in the Spirit, we can do better.
That's right.
And we can be a blessing especially to those that we love.
Right. So focus on your words bringing healing to your spouse, your wife, your husband, rather than thrust of swords and weapons that hurt.
Yeah.
Now, if your spouse is in a position or in a place in their life where they need to hear the truth, and that truth may cut them deep like a sword, that is what it is, because that's the word.
Wise correction.
Right.
Rebuke even.
Yes.
Rebuke is not a bad thing.
No.
It has such a bad reputation among those who are not wise, because it takes wisdom to want counsel.
Wise man takes correction.
Yeah, it takes correction.
Right. God rebukes people. He chastens who He loves.
But rebuke to me is a very beautiful word.
Absolutely.
When done in the manner that it's intended. Yeah, with a foundation of love. But I know, like, even with us, communication, there's many times that you call me out.
Yeah.
I mean, you call me out, and I've learned, like, it's not even just like learning. It's because of how you love me, and you love me so well that I am completely open for you to correct me and call me out when I'm off. And
on the flip side.
And initially, sometimes I'm like, nah, I don't want to hear that. And I'll tell you, like, nah, I know you're right, but I don't want to hear it.
But I think on the flip side of that, if your words in your marriage are constantly bringing healing, right? And you're not using those words as a weapon, you're going to be more open to receive that truth, even though it hurts. You know,
Exactly.
You'll be open to receive what your spouse is trying to tell you.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're doing it in love.
And you have a lot of wisdom of the Lord.
Right.
And your approach always to me is with gentleness and love, and treating me as Christ has admonished you to do.
That's right.
So it is easy for me.
Yeah.
It's easy for me. And I think vice versa. It does go both ways.
So we just talked about words. We talked about using your words for good, for bad. What's the other side of communication? Listening.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Listening is the other half of communication. You know, it's when you're talking to me, if I pick my phone up, right? You're trying to talk to me and I pick my phone up, or if we're out to dinner, right? And this is something else that we've made a point. When we're out to dinner, right? We're face to face with one another, the phones are gone. We're not sitting on our phones like, I want to spend time with you. Right. I want to hear you.
Yeah.
I want to listen to you, you know? And listening is the other half of communication, because if you can't hear what your spouse is trying to tell you, then that's not good.
It's going to create
friction. It's just going to create,
snowball affect
uncommunication,
chaos, and,
whatever that is.
Yeah, it just causes problems. Yeah, and it causes problems that often people don't want to deal with, so
Right.
they just continue to suffer.
Yep.
And in that suffering, that is not a God ordained suffer.
No.
Oh, how many people I've wanted to, I love so much that I want them to get that there's suffering that they are experiencing now, that they've walked through, that it's never been God intended for them. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would call it active listening. It's when you listen to your wife, your husband, actively listen. Don't just listen because you know somebody's talking to you, or you end up giving the answer or giving a response.
Listening to give a response versus listening to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the foundation of good communication is active listening, is what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Oh.
Too many times we respond to our partner without fully understanding what they're communicating, needing, or sharing.
Yeah.
So
little testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When we first got married, we both still had a lot of things from our past being present within us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Trauma, pain, areas we need deliverance and healing.
Anger.
I had so much anger from a upbringing of abuse in different manners. And with that came, by the time we got married, I had fits of rage. It wasn't frequent. It wasn't like all the time.
No.
But it definitely happened.
Right.
There were
small things
maybe
would
I
set
can
you
count
off.
on one hand some major events where I just lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And the small things would set me off.
Mm-hmm.
But I had read a book about anger, and at that time, it was something that God used, in my life, and I needed to read more in detail from a scriptural perspective also about dealing with anger and walking out some healing. And I've been praying about this, and I would say maybe a year and a half, 2 years. It was not instant.
Yeah.
It was not.
Right.
But when the time came and when it happened for me, when I just say when it happened for me, I knew that it had happened, and I didn't know it had happened because I had some encounter and an angel appeared before me and says, you don't have this problem anymore.
No, it was because life application.
Yeah.
It was in your life.
Right.
You realized it.
Yeah, but we were at home. I think you were outside washing the car. I had, I wouldn't drink that now, but I had a big cup of Gatorade.
Mm-hmm.
And it was red Gatorade, and our carpet was beige, ivory. And I dropped the cup, and the Gatorade went on that carpet. And that is something that normally would have
set you off.
Set me off.
Yeah.
And I stood there, and I looked down. It was just this slow-mo moment where I feel like it was maybe 3 minutes, but really probably was 10 seconds. And I'm just standing here with the cup in my hand, looking down at the stain. And there was this in me of I gotta choose how I'm gonna respond. But I'm telling you, it was because I had been set free. It wasn't even an active, I'm going to choose how I respond.
Right.
Laughter began to come up from my belly. And I laughed so hard. And I just continued to laugh because in that laughter and that joy, I knew I had been set free.
Yeah.
I knew that it had happened, that there was no going back. And there wasn't. I never had a moment after that of that rage and that level of anger.
And the Lord,
unfounded anger.
That's how the Lord used me to help you come out of that. Because
the times where I had my little moments.
Yeah.
Lance, he
laugh.
You would laugh at me,
and it would make her more angry.
It would make me so mad.
But it just, I just felt like that was the right thing to do. And now we look back and know that the Lord was using that.
He sure did.
By me choosing not to engage in anger and, you know, just to laugh.
And sometimes the last thing you want to do if somebody having rage fit is to laugh at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't a laughing at me making fun. It wasn't malicious.
No.
It was like love and laughter. Like, you know how the word talks about that God, he who sits in the heavens laughs. He laughs at the schemes of the enemy in this earth among his people. And it was that type of laughter.
Yeah.
Just laughing at, you know, the enemy at work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. I'll never, ever, ever forget that feeling and standing there over that Gatorade. And we cleaned it, but it didn't come up. We moved from that house, and there still was a slight stain of spilt red Gatorade, ever slight, that was there. And I looked at it as like
freedom.
Yeah. Oh, communication. So I've always felt free to express anything to Lance, no matter how strange. There's been much of that with the gifts that God has given me. No matter how strange, how difficult, or how uncomfortable. Like, I am one that I'm huge about, like, uncomfortable confrontation and conversation. Because I realize that it has the ability to deal with layers to get us free.
Well, you're a person that you don't like stuff lingering. Like, you want it to be dealt with. And you wear the saying, you wear your feelings or emotions on your shoulder, on your sleeve. I do, right? Yeah. It's
even to a fault at times.
But I mean, you don't let things fester. You don't, you want things dealt with, right? Because you see the value in what's after that. Right? You see the value in the friendship or the family member. You see the value of what's beyond that issue or problem or whatever.
But I've learned that not everybody's down for that.
No, absolutely not.
And so I have to love them from afar and just and pray. Yeah. But with you, when we're talking about us and marriage, there is nothing that's hidden.
All right. Yep.
Our communication is clear.
It's there. Yes.
And even when it may feel like, I don't want to say like being rude, but I mean, sometimes we're like, bite at each other.
Well, I think it's because
we disagree,
know,
but we talk about it.
Because I know you, you know me, so when I'm passionate about something, it's just because that's how I am. It's not towards you, or it's not, So.
And if I feel some type of way, I just say it. Hey, that made me feel ...
Yeah.
And then if you realize it's unfounded, that was not your heart intent.
Right.
You express that to me.
Yeah.
And if there was intent there, then you're like, well, yeah, this is what I meant, and this is what it was, and this is why.
Yeah.
And then I have to be like, okay, I might not completely agree there, but like, I love you and I know you well, and I know you do, have good intention. So you just sit with that. If that's where you're at with that, that's where you're at with that, because this is where I'm at with it. And it doesn't linger after that.
Yeah.
It just works itself out. Yeah.
Oops.
Uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. Communication is consideration.
Of the proclamation of the, I don't know, I was just making stuff up. But no, I mean, communicate. Yeah. Communication. Right.
Is an attribute of Christ.
Yes. I mean, so, communication. Words matter. And also listening to your spouse matters. Yeah. Listening is the other half of communication.
Yeah.
Right? Watch the words that come out of your mouth. Communicate with God. Allow Him to communicate with you through the Spirit, through His Word. That will show you the intents of your heart sometimes, and that's Him communicating to you things that you need to deal with.
Yep.
And in dealing with those things, when you communicate to your loved one, it'll come across just like God came across to you.
Yes.
Right? It fixes things.
Yep.
It deals with things. It delivers you from things.
Yeah.
Communicate, Steph, right here. Communicate.
I'm thinking, I'm processing. So something that I'm thinking about is how Jesus communicated. And we'd have to do a whole Bible study, on that to really point to and show. But Jesus didn't walk around like some lover hippie, free love to all.
Right.
very often his rebuke came and it was strong.
Very.
And it would have came across crass and rude, inconsiderate, but the truth was actually the very opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
He was coming from a place of love.
Yep.
He knew why he was here. He knew what his purpose. So he communicated in the way that was 100% correct.
He is the way. He's the truth. He is the life.
Right.
No, he does not lie. God is not a man that he can lie. It's not even in him. The very existence and the essence of Jesus and God is absolute truth. So in that, I would say that Jesus probably was the most straight talker that any human being would have ever encountered.
I don't think he beat around the bush on things.
Right.
I think he was straight to the point. I mean,
and in the same manner,
he communicated.
He will lead us. He'll deal with us in those same ways. He leads us in those same ways. It offends people when we walk in that.
Right. Absolutely.
It ruffles feathers.
Why are you not being loving? You're supposed to be loving to that person. Listen.
The most loving thing we can do at times is to
love somebody enough not to leave them where they're at.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. If I can speak truth to you, if God gives me the key, the answer to help you out of a situation, and I tell you that, or I speak that to you, or I communicate that to you, it's on you how you're going to receive that.
That's right.
Right? If it's truth, then if it's truth, and I'm coming at you with truth, or you're going to know that, you're going to realize that, and you're going to know that's love.
And that's the same way that the Spirit of God deals with us in our personal relationship. That's how He's dealt with me, all that I've ever known.
Yeah.
It's not always a rebuke.
He doesn't pet our
no.
What's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't pet
Issues.
our flesh. Yeah. He doesn't pet our
preferences.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna shoot it straight.
Straight shooter.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Communication.
Yep.
Yeah. It's neat to, if you go through the Word, if you go through the New Testament or the Gospels, and read how Jesus communicated with people. Yes, he showed people love, but he also rebuked people that needed it. He also showed people their heart intent. He showed them. He would call things out.
And that's difficult. That's difficult, but we talked about that last time, how it's fruitful. Yeah. We'll come to a realization of what is truth. That was hard to receive, that, wow, this is like the best for me. This is good, and this is righteous. This is right.
Yeah. And
this leads me to a path of abundance and fullness and freedom.
Yeah.
Rebukes.
Because, if life and death are in the tongue. Yes.
Founded in love. Lead me to freedom.
Yes. Because if life and death are in the tongue, like the Word says, and I believe the Word, then sometimes life will come across as harsh, right? Yeah. The truth comes across unloving to somebody that's on the receiving end of truth.
Yep.
But if you're wise and you take correction and wise counsel, you understand that communication is needed.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep. And we have found success.
Yes.
In our marriage. Yeah. All the way through. And it's only given us good fruit.
That's right. Yeah. 23 years deep.
Yeah. So that's that about communication.
Yeah. And there's so much more.
Keep talking about it.
Right. I mean, there's so much more with communication. But listening or speaking, one half, listening the other half, your words matter. Spend time with the Lord, communicate with Him, and you'll be a better communicator with your spouse.
Yes. So good.
Amen.
Amen. Love you.